on the front lines of it all, decision-making wise anyway. What makes this situation different than what we were facing in Iraq a few years ago, in your view?
Well, this is a civil war, and I just don't know that the injection of the United States military, the greatest military on the face of the planet, is A, going to solve the problem, and B, not going to lead to something much bigger, more problematic. And I'm proud of the position I've taken thus far. I think it's a reflection of where Utahns are on this issue, but it's a volatile situation, intelligence changing daily, but right now I'm leaning no.
How strong are the voices you're hearing from your constituents?
In my office, between Provo and Washington, D.C., I've had about 500 emails, about 500 phone calls. I have a grand total of 3 that think it's good for the United States of America to go to war in Syria.
What about the fact that Mr. Bindlingsley pointed out that the United States has signed treaties, part of a coalition of nations who says they're not going to put up with the use of weapons of mass destruction or chemical weapons and chemical weapons? Isn't that enough to call for the United States to take some kind of action, in your view?
I think one of the great failings of President Obama and Secretary of State Hillary Clinton over the last 18 to 24 months is there has not been an international coalition built. Really what the President is asking for us to do is to go into this by ourselves. Now, there's a couple other coalition partners, but some of our best allies, the British, for instance, have rejected this. I think going it alone is a factor in should we or should we not do this. And again, I don't think we should. I just don't see the clear and present danger to the United States of America, and I see long-term ramifications by injecting ourselves into a civil war where the consequences may be something we really don't like. And I also don't think the United States should be out there helping people who are these nefarious characters that may be anti-United States. These aren't exactly freedom fighters as we'd like to think they are. This is a tough situation.
Next week, you've got classified briefings that you're going to be taking part in. The President is going to be addressing the nation. How open do you feel you are to having your mind changed on this?
Look,
do you have any idea at this point?
I personally believe every member of Congress should continue to have an open mind. I'm leaning no. Of course, we're going to look at the latest intelligence. I respect the President. I will listen to what he has to say. But at the end of the day, I'm not there to rubber stamp the establishment position. I'm there to represent Utah to Washington. And right now, my constituents, me personally, everything I'm looking at, the classified intelligence that the rest of the district can't look at, I think there's a strong enough case to justify going to war in Syria.
Now, you haven't been there, but in Washington because of the summer break. But the atmosphere in Washington has been so partisan. This is not necessarily partisan. How different is this issue when it comes to the people that are taking different stances, the different things that they're saying, the differences that exist beyond partisanship?
It really is interesting. You have some of the most conservative conservatives and some of those liberal liberals coming together on this issue. A lot of people in the middle on different sides of the issue. For each person you can find that's maybe for it, you can probably find 3 or 4 that are against it. And so it's not a partisan issue. We're talking about putting men and women's lives on the line, talking about killing other people. That's not a partisan issue.
And you mentioned earlier, this is in fact going to war. This isn't.
It is.
Do you believe the idea of a surgical strike that could just go in there, get the job done, and then we're done?
It'd be terribly naive to think we could simply send a Tomahawk missile in and with precision not kill other people. I've got to believe that the regime that's in power right now is hiding these chemical weapons. They could be in schools and hospitals. I have no direct knowledge of that, but I'm just saying I don't think that they're just neatly stacked in some warehouse and all we have to do is hit it and it's over and we can wash our hands of it. To say that we would strike and that it would be over would be totally naive. I think if the United States gets involved, it's going to go on for a long time.
Okay, we'll be following your votes and the discussion on this issue very closely. Thank you very much, Congressman Chaffetz. Coming up next, openly using